Nigeria, as well as the latest coming from the beautiful world of transfer. So it promises to be an exciting edition, and we'll urge you to sit tight as we have a lot for you this evening. We'll take a short break, or we'll come back. We'll unravel all that you need to know evolving around the beautiful world of sports. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
This apology shows that remorse to Nigerians. And if there's anyone at all that was very angry about the Wrestling Federation not being able to achieve any success in the just concluded Olympic game, I think with this apology coming from Daniel Igale, there will be, that tension will be doused a little bit. I think people will begin to think in different perspective. It is good that such person have actually, admitted mistake and take full responsibility. I think this is very professional of Daniel Igale, and this is what we want to see. I think for me, it was the Paris Olympic game. I think they did enough of the preparation. They started camping right here in Yenagoa before jetting out to abroad. Definitely affect every other part of the body.
And of course, we also talk colleges who would have possibly, maybe, in one way or the other, motivate the athletes taking the situation of things down there, in Paris. But we'll keep our fingers crossed. We hope that this apology being tendered.
No Burududu. The next Odunayo Adekoroye. And how do we replace them? Is by going down to the grassroots. We have so many good wrestlers out there. Can we actually channel our effort into the grassroots development in terms of sport? Because that is a way to get to replace some of these aging athletes. Catch them young should be the key. It should be the mantra. It should be the focus. Catch them young. Organize sport. A national sport festival. Do we have antlers? Because this is where you get to find the next Odunayo Adekoroye or Bless Noburu Dudu that is going to take the mantra, that is going to take up the baton from them. Just like you and I know. If they fade out, if we wait until the day they finally exit the stage, is that when we begin to wake up from our slumber to begin to seek for a dark goat in a dark night? That would be very difficult. So for me, if we must replace some of these aging athletes, we need to go back to the grassroots. We need to start a program, a deliberate program that is meant to develop and unearth young talents and give them the platform, give them the needed support, give them the care, the equipment and facilities for them to train so that they will give us our best. Because if you don't do that, then I'm sorry for us. We will continue to apologize every year. When the Olympic comes, we'll go out there and perform abysmal. We'll come back to keep regurgitating the same story of abysmal outing. So if we want to get excuses, we can no longer accept throwing of blames. We can no longer accept apologies. Because after the apology, what happened to the heavy amount of money that was doled out? Will you tell the hungry Nigerian out there in the street that you are sorry that we couldn't achieve any success after doling out such money? Will you tell CAF when they ban you from playing at your home ground that we are sorry? Grassroots. And this is the way, and this is what we must do in order for us not to keep apologizing to Nigerians after spending our hard taxpayers' money next edition of the Olympic Games.
All right, let's see how it is. We hope that the Wrestling Federation, the Sport Ministry, as well as other federations, we have to do the needful going forward to, of course, put things in place. But let's stay away from that as we take a look at UFC this evening. Despite losing to Dicros Duplessis in a thrilling UFC 305 main event, Israel Adesanya earned more than the reigning champion. According to a report from the Sport Star, Adesanya, the former two-time middleweight champion, was guaranteed $750,000 for the fight, while Duplessis got $500,000. With additional earnings from the pay-per-view, both fighters are expected to clear seven figures, though Adesanya's share of the revenue is projected to be higher due to his status and past achievements in the sport. The UFC 305 card also saw notable payouts for other fighters in the co-main events. Carol France earned $50,000 bonus on top of his $300,000 base pay for his first round knockout of Steve Gregg, who pocketed $75,000. Don Huckel and Mansis Agamot, who engaged in an exciting lightweight contest, each took home $50,000 bonuses on top of their respective $350,000 and $110,000 base pay check. Israel Adesanya, despite suffering defeat in that encounter against Duplessis, went home with $750,000. Michael, what do you think could be responsible for his huge pay?
It's very simple. He had made more names for himself in the octagon, and that is why he went home with chunk pay of the money compared to the reigning champion as he stands. So, but I think the thing that I'm concerned right here, and I think this is what Israel Adesanya should be concerned. It's not about earning a huge pay from the fight. It's about the reputation and his attempt to build back the confidence, to get back that fame and popularity we know of him, to get back to the peak of his career. This should be the primary aim and not about the money.
24 fights, he has only lost twice.
Yes, but then the loss is very devastating because it is 1 year. He was almost 1 year out of the ring. Having lost your belt is no longer to be reckoned. You have a new champion, in the system, and every other person right now knows that Israel Adesanya is not that Israel Adesanya again. Despite being two-time, a middleweight champion, we have a new champion in vogue right now. So for me, after being away for 1 year, I think the primary aim is for him to have come out to fight from all fronts to ensure that he gave back his mojo, he gave back his rhythm, get back his respect and reputation, and not about the money. Of course, the money is good, but then, does he not have money? He should have opened more doors. It's likened to Anthony Joshua after losing his, all of his belts. Now, his career was almost, shattered. Now, he's trying to build back his career. Do you know the fight between Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou? He earned more. But then, would it have been more better for Anthony Joshua to earn more and lose the fight against Francis Ngannou? Of course, no. Because a loss against Francis Ngannou and every other, fighter that he has fought in an attempt to build back his career would have been very devastating. Just like he's about to take on Daniel Dubois. I think for him, it's not about racking up a huge amount of money for himself. The target and purpose is for him to get back to reckoning, to put back his career on track. And this should be the aim of, Adesanya, and not about the money. Because the money will always come, so long as you stay relevant. The money will always come. And this is what every fighter does. Forget about the money first. Keep maintaining that relevance. Now, it's not that it's not relevant, but then we are talking about being at the peak of your career, where everybody will be eyeing to fight you. And you get more money when people are rushing to, throw up a challenge against you, because that is what it is. So for me, he shouldn't be bothered, or I'm not bothered about the high chunk amount of money that he accrued from his fights, because to him personally, if you ask him, or if he asks his coach or trainer, I think they will tell you that their aim wasn't to make the money, but for Israel Adesanya to get back his reputation.
Of course, to get back his reputation, this is the third time Adesanya, of course, is losing the fights, and not good, of course, for his career. We hope he will bounce back in a very, very impressive fashion. But away from UFC, Yannick Sinner beats Francis Tofio in straight sets in the Cincinnati Open final, as the world #1 found his best form ahead of the US Open and the final Grand Slam of the year. Sinner started the season by securing his first Grand Slam title at the Australian Open, but has struggled with a hip injury over the last few months and missed the Paris Olympics with tonsillitis. The 23-year-old was seen limping at stages during a fiercely fought opening set that went the Italians' way before he ultimately ran away with the match, winning 7-6, 6-2 in that particular encounter. World #1, Yannick Sinner, once again laid his hand on another title this year.
Massive victory for him. I think it's a great one, despite the injury worry that we saw him almost limping off in the course of that game, but then he was able to sustain the momentum. And this is one of the quality of a champion, because when it seems that you are against the wall, your ability to rise up, especially when you are against the wall, keeps you away from the other fighters or from other players out there. When you look as though the chips are down, can you be able to come back? And that is what he did out there. He hasn't had an impressive form since he last defeated and dethroned the world #1. Then talking about Novak Djokovic, I think he has found it very difficult battling with injury here and there and all of that. But then I think this one is a very good one. Despite the injury worry during the course of the game, he was still able to hold on and emerge champion. And I believe this one will also help him as well to prepare ahead of the big one, which is the US Open that is just by the corner. Big victory for him, and I say big congratulations for Yannick Sinner.
Wasn't a rosy outing for Carlos Alcaraz in this one? I think he was ousted out in the second or third round of the competition. Remember what happened to him at the Olympics, where he was defeated by Novak Djokovic, and then coming down to the Cincinnati, which of course is a preparatory ground or preparatory tournament ahead of the US Open that will be coming up later on this month. He fell short to go far in this particular one. What do you think, would have been, do you think the Olympic, defeats was really the problem, or was really the problem of the man, Carlos Alcaraz, in this particular one?
That may be the reason, that may be the part of the reason, rather, because psychologically, after losing the gold medal at the Paris Olympic Games, psychologically you'll be affected. That you were at the brink of lifting a gold medal in such a big
Which is very
sporting
important to your career.
Of course, in such a big sporting event, and coming back to also pick the broken pieces. I mean, you will be still thinking about the negativity of losing the gold medal against Novak Djokovic. I think a whole lot of things will be going through his head.
We saw him smashing his racket when he was being defeated.
That was a sign of frustration. I went through YouTube to watch some of the clips out there. That was a sign of frustration, clearly telling you that he wasn't happy mentally. He was very, very unbalanced, and this is where you need psychology. Earlier we talked about you try to raise the position or the place of psychologists in sport generally, which for me is very key, because in modern sport you can't do away with psychology, because these are the people that help to keep your emotions in check. They help to talk some sense in you, and they help to get you focused, but then I think sometimes some of these sportsmen allow frustration to get the better of them. Don't forget, though it is a preparatory ground again, ahead of the U.S. Open, but then it is a 1,000 points. Also very, very important, talking about the Cincinnati. So for me, I think it just not his day, and that is what happened to, Carlos Alcaraz. But I believe he has learned some lesson here. Let's hope that he can be able to put away all of these negative, feelings within him right now, and focus and train very hard for the upcoming U.S. Open.
Though Djokovic is still in the mix, when you talk about the next generation who can possibly put up that challenge, maintain some level of dominance, you mentioned Alcaraz, you mentioned Jannik Sinner, we just talked about. The likes of Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, they're not, of course, in their A game anymore. I think it's only Djokovic, when it has to do with the generation of 10, that is still, putting up that level of dominance. But how far can the young gents go? Talking about the likes of Djokovic, Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner, do you see them maintaining that level of momentum, that, high spirit in terms of putting high level of dominance, winning Grand Slam upon Grand Slam, just like we've seen from Djokovic, the likes of Roger Federer, and the rest of them?
Well, that is a big question, Kingsley, that, only time will answer that question. And of course, there's no era that is always the same. Era come and go. And different people, always make headline in one certain eras. And when they leave their era, other people might come and do their bid. Sometimes their own effort might not match up with the previous people on the era as well. But then I think if you ask me, like I said earlier, it is only time that we tell. But the era of Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal, Roger Federer, that is their own era. The young gen that we are talking about right now, can they be able to compete at all fronts, such a era where we have such big names competing against each other? That may be very difficult, but then in this Gen Z era, we might possibly see a duopoly between Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner, only if they're up their game.
Because for me, I think they are the only one making tennis exciting in the male category.
That is why I said we might possibly...
Medvedevs, Zverev, and the rest.
They are not consistent. They are not consistent. And if you are not consistent, it's going to be a big problem for you to compete and call yourself in one of the legends, during or after when that era have come and gone. And that is why I simply said that we are going to probably see a duopoly between Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner when the era of these three greats comes to an end. But then we might possibly see a new name. Only hard work will bring that and make it fruition. If not, I tell you, it's going to be maybe Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner assistant right now, because we haven't seen any other name that is that much adventurous that you want to say, yes, maybe this person is going to come in between to also, throw his heart on the ring for the contention of one of the greatest players in the Gen Z era.
All right, let's stay away from the male category and tennis. Let's take a look at the female category. Aryna Sabalenka won her first title since January Australian Open, defeating Jessica Pegula in the Cincinnati Open final. The Belarusian required 76 minutes to win 6-3, 7-5, have 15 championship overall and 6th at the WTA 1000 level. The loss interrupted American Pegula's 9-match winning streak, which began last week when she defended her Canadian Open championship. A 26-year-old who defeated world number 1 Iga Swiatek in the semi-final will compete in the U.S. Open, which begins on August 26. Aryna Sabalenka with another title, of course, in her bag. Michael, what do you make of Sabalenka taking out Iga Swiatek in the semi-final, going down to the final and getting this one? I think, she's gradually getting back her mojo.
A statement of intent, I will say, but getting her back her mojo, I don't know how this is. She need to show consistency.
I think she's world number 2.
Yes,
she's world number 2.
Yes, but
it's been it's been difficult for her winning Iga Swiatek.
Yes.
Don't forget, Iga Swiatek, I think, has hosted her out in about, I think, in the finals about 2 tournaments this year. So it's been a very huge fight between her and Iga Swiatek this year. So that's why I said, beating her in the semi-final, going all the way to the final, beating Jessica Pegula, who has also been consistent in about 9 games, as it is, and picking up the title. Can we say Sabalenka is ready for the US Open?
I can't say that for now, but then one thing is certain, that that we must take home is that it looks as though she's gradually getting back, her momentum. Having seen the number of games that she has not lost right now, you may want to say yes, probably she's, trying to up her ante. But for Iga Swiatek, you want to say that, yeah, it looks as though she's dropping down on her standard. Don't forget how she was knocked out in the, just concluded Olympic game, how she was knocked out, where so many persons actually even tip her, for the gold out there. Taking a look at her form and her ranking, but then losing at such early stage in the Olympic, coming again at the Cincinnati Open, not able to also show the stuff that she's made up of, that have created that name for her, made her to be set apart among the rest, dominated the #1 position for a quite long time right now. You expect her, to bring back the frustration, to show that anger and frustration of not making it to the final of the just concluded Olympic game. You expect her to be, wiping everybody away in the Cincinnati Open, but then, she fell to the firepower of Aryna Sabalenka. So it looks as though Aryna Sabalenka is gradually picking up her momentum, but then whether she's ready for the US Open, I can't tell for now, because, in the ATP, there's always much competition in the ATP compared to the, in the WTA compared to the ATP. But then, if there's anything to go by from her impressive display at the Cincinnati Open, you want to say yes, maybe, just maybe, she's ready for the US Open.
All right, let's see how it goes for Aryna Sabalenka winning her 15th title. Look and see how she will be able to, move with this. But at this You're welcome back to Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network, and now I will bring you the latest revolving around the beautiful world of sport this evening. Of course, Michael has been giving us some incisive analysis on the show, and it's time for me to talk football, and we'll start from the home scene. That's the Nigerian scene. I'll talk about Nigerian football because the Nigerian Football Federation, the NFF, is looking to bring in a local coach on an interim basis for the Super Eagles. The coach we hear will take charge of the national team for the next 2025 African qualifiers in September. The Eagles have been without a substantive coach since Finidi George stepped down from the role. Last week, the NFF Technical Director Osle Guavon claimed that they would announce a new man in charge this week. However, it seems a deal for a permanent coach might not be sealed before Nigeria hosts Benin Republic on 7th of September and travel to Rwanda 3 days later. Michael, what do you make of it? NFF are saying they want to get an interim manager, a local interim manager for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Is this a good choice? Is it the right direction?
Well, whether it is a right direction, that I don't know, and I can't answer the question. What I think is certain is that the NFF seems to be toying with the hearts of Super Eagles supporters out there. If you are going for a local interim coach, the big question should be, why did it take them donkeys of years to go for such a local coach? If this is what they had in mind of not have appointed a substantive or even a local coach all this month that Finidi George resigned, why wait for such a long time before you appoint a local coach? Hence, you've made up your mind, because we hear that the NFF Technical Committee, they are the one that have made the decision alongside NFF top officials. If this was a decision, do you need to go to London or China to make consultation of who to appoint or which coach, whether to appoint a local coach or a foreign coach? These are decisions they should have made earlier than now, so that we'll be able to have an interim coach. Long time ago, when Finidi George resigned, I think that should have helped such local coach to, be able to galvanize the Super Eagles that is currently in a limbo of qualifying for the next World Cup. Even the Nations Cup qualifier is in jeopardy right now because we just have few weeks rather, not even up to a month again. And this is where you want to appoint a local coach. Then, when you appoint such a local coach, you now mount pressure upon such local coach, tell him to deliver. You begin to give him conditions and options of what and what not to do and what you desire of him, forgetting that you fail to do the needful, because time is very essential. The time that you appoint such coach should be very essential so that you enable that coach, to be able to know what he should do. You wait until that minute. That is where you want to. They have not even appointed, they want to. Where we have few weeks before the next African Cup of Nations qualifier. So at this critical point that we are, it is a big challenge. If they want to appoint a local coach, fine and good. That is their business, because it looks as though Nigerians are no longer involved. They just wake up one day to do whatever pleases them with our taxpayers' money. So I think the burden on who to appoint or when to appoint right now lies on Ibrahim Gusau and the NFF Technical Committee. But one thing is certain, that Nigerians are not happy about the delay in appointing either a substantive coach or a caretaker coach. Then again, the timing of the appointment is very wrong right now. Why is it wrong? Because the African Cup of Nations qualifier is just a few weeks away rather, and we had over 2 months that Finidi George resigned, yet nothing has been done. So at this point, I think it's a big challenge that we find ourselves, and we must find a way to get out of this murky water that we are right now, because it's going to be a shame and another national embarrassment if the Super Eagles, the giants of Africa, fail to qualify for a successive World Cup. It's going to be a big issue.
All right, let's see how it goes. We hope that the NFF will do the needful at the end of the day, bring in a local coach. Will it be an interim manager or a permanent manager? We'll see how that one will go. But away from the NFF, Luka Modric has been named in Croatia's 24-man squad for the opening matches of their UEFA Nations League campaign. Real Madrid's captain Modric, who turned 19 at 39 in September, has made 179 appearances for his country, having made his debut at the age of 20 in 2006, following Croatia's exit at the group stage of Euro 2024 this summer. There was uncertainty over whether Modric would continue to play for the national side, but after teammates Domagoj Vida and Marcelo Brozovic both announced their retirement from international football, head coach Zlatko Dalic said he was happy that his team captain remains on board. Modric, who signed a one-year contract extension with Spanish champions Real Madrid in July, started all three of crucial matches at the Heroes. They are in League A of the Nation League and visit Portugal on 5th of September before hosting Poland 3 days later. Let's see how it goes, but we saw some impressive action about the weekend, and Michael, it was the team that came back from relegation, talking about Leicester City. They were able to hold it down against Tottenham Hotspur in Monday Night Football. 1-0 ended in that encounter.
Impressive display from Leicester City, especially coming back after 1 year away from the English Premier League, coming back to face a tough opponent such as Tottenham. At the King's Power Stadium, many actually predicted that Tottenham was going to, welcome back Leicester City in the English Premier League with a baptism of fire. But then it turned out to be something different. Though Tottenham took an early lead courtesy of that strike from Pedro Porro, but then I think Jamie Vardy had a different answer to that as he struck, to ensure that the game ends in a spoil. Talking about a 1-1 draw. I think Leicester City, they are doing pretty well. Though it is not all 3 points, but then if you take a look at the way they were able to come back, especially taking a look at the total dominance of the Tottenham team in the first half. Tottenham had a couple of chances to have even buried the game even before second half, but then they failed to take their chances. And this is what you get when chances upon chances come your way in a football match and you fail to take it. Your opponent might just have just one chance and they take it, and that makes the game. So for me, I think Leicester City, they are going to do great things so far this season because they have been there before. Don't forget, they are the former champion 2015 to 2016 season. They won it. So for me, I think they understand what it means to apply their trade in the English Premier League, and that is why they were able to find an answer for Pedro Porro's strike in the first half as well. So for me, I think for Leicester City, it's a great way to start the league.
A very good way, of course, to start the league for Leicester City. But away from Leicester City, let's talk about one man, Raheem Sterling, Michael. We hear Raheem Sterling has been left in limbo over his Chelsea future. Sterling is 29 years and is now seeking talks with the club to see if he's part of Enzo Maresca's plans at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea have agreed a deal with Atletico Madrid to sign Portugal star Joe Felix, with Conor Gallagher expected to go the other way. That may also increase Chelsea's need to offload players, with Saudi club Al Ahly keen on Sterling, while Turkish club Fenerbahce have also been linked. Now, Italian giant Juventus made an approach 2 weeks ago with a player plus cash deal involving Federico Chiesa, and may come back if they get any encouragement. Now, Sterling has been a key part of their plans in pre-season, but could now find himself being told he is surplus to requirement that Chelsea looked to balance their book this time. And Sterling even fronted up a new club advertising campaign which was launched on Sunday for new shirt sleeve sponsors Fever. Now, Sterling had no hints that anything was coming until Maresca spoke to him on Friday and then left him out of the match day squad. But England international Sterling could become the biggest name departure from Chelsea this summer, taking a look at the way things are going down with him at Chelsea, Michael?
It's looking likely, and of course, do they need to part ways with him? Of course, yes. If you take a look at their bloated squad with over 50 players, there is need for them to trim down their squad.
But he's been a little bit instrumental for Chelsea.
Not that it's a little bit instrumental for Chelsea, but then if you take a look at the squad depth right now as it stands, there's so many competition within that left wing as it stands right now. Don't forget, João Felix, the Portuguese, is coming or has come. They also have Modric operating in that same position as well. So for me, it's going to face a whole lot of competition. If you ask me, I think the best option for Chelsea is to have taken the Italian, the Juventus player, talking about Federico Chiesa. Chiesa is a very good player. So if Juventus is willing to offer Chiesa plus cash offer in place of Raheem Sterling, I think that should be a good business for even Chelsea Football Club, because they have surplus in that left wing, that can be able to hold their own out there. So I just think that it is time for Sterling to go make money at the Saudi Pro League, because this is what it is. If players like 23, 24, even 25 years is heading over to the Saudi Pro League, he has played at the highest level.
He has 3 years contract left.
Of course,
he's, I think, one of the highest earners of Chelsea Football Club.
Yes, and the policy of this new owner, he doesn't want to entertain some players. He doesn't want to keep players that their salary or their wage bill is very, very high out there. Unlike the era of Roman Ibrahimovic, where we see players earning as much as £350,000 a week, £250,000, 300, the least at most will go 150, 180. But then you take a look at the new pattern of the Todd Bowley-led administration, they don't give you such high amount of money weekly. Highest £80,000, 100,000, 120. So I think that's maybe one of the reasons they want to balance their book. They don't want to cover heavy amount of money to be paying individuals out there. And also, in an attempt to balance their book, to also streamline their squad, this is what Enzo Maresca has been saying, that he wants to trim down his squad to possibly 23 or 26 at most. So how do you get to do that? You need to look for the players that will best suit your philosophy as a coach. Then you let others go.
Won't things really go wrong at Chelsea, looking at the fact that they are not keeping or maintaining or get experienced players in the team? Sterling might be leaving. Gallagher has left. Thiago Silva left after last season. If you take a look at the team, they don't have much experienced players in the team. And you playing in the Premier League at such an intense league without an experienced player, won't this have a way of affecting them this season?
It will, but then sometimes football is not all about experience. Don't forget the young Arsenal squad 3 years ago, 2 years ago. They are just gradually, maturing. If not, the Arsenal team of 2 years, they were still young. Still very young squad. I think the oldest player you find within that team was when they bought Jorginho, bought Kai Havertz, Thomas Partey. These are some of the, maybe you want to talk senior players in the squad. Arsenal team is full of young and agile squad, and they are still competing. So for me, sometimes it's not about experience, but then you can't rule away the vital role played by experience in a squad. Because if Chelsea had kept bulk of their experienced players 2 years ago, I think they wouldn't be suffering from what they are suffering right now, trying to rebuild a team season by season. You keep laying off your experienced player, bringing in an old one, not giving coach a time to build on such young player that you are bringing in. It's either you sack the next coach and bring in another coach, and a new coach will come and want to find a player. I mean, it's going to really affect them, honestly. And that is why if you listen to Jamie Carragher yesterday, on Sky Sport, he was saying that Chelsea should stop buying players